chapter 6. Therefore, leaving the principles of the doctrine of Christ, let us go on.
You ever have a love you couldn't deny and a life you couldn't survive at the same time? I don't mean a high school crush or that 2-week fling that fizzled out when you realized they put ketchup on spaghetti. I mean the kind of love that gets in your teeth, the kind that sits in the marrow and refuses to leave even when you've begged it to. And yet, right alongside it, a life that keeps grinding you down. A rhythm that eats your good days and gnaws on your bad ones. A road you can't seem to walk without leaving blood in the gravel. That's where we're living in this episode. We're not just unpacking a song tonight, we're stepping into a story you might already be in. And before you start telling yourself this is about somebody else's bad decisions or somebody else's heartbreak, just sit still for a moment, because you might hear your own footsteps in here. This is Theology in Three Chords. I'm your host, Brother Jim. Some folks call me the Semi-Seminarian. Some folks call me Red. And around here, we treat folk songs like sacred texts. We believe the same God who spoke through Isaiah can still speak through a Max Stalling lyric or a Jimmy Buffett turn of phrase. And you know what? We're going to listen for that kind of speaking in this one. Now, here's how this works. We drop the needle on the track, not just to admire the melody or nod along with the hook, but to walk around inside it. We're looking for the cracks where the light gets in, the moments where the songwriter accidentally, or maybe on purpose, preaches a gospel that maybe they didn't even know they were holding. We'll follow the characters where they go, ride shotgun through the wrecks, and see if the same grace that found them might find us too. And while you're here, I'd be grateful if you'd pull up a chair at our little table, click that subscribe button, share the episode with somebody who's got their own love they can't deny, life they can't survive. And leave a comment telling me where this story might have hit home. You never know. Your story might be the thing that helps somebody else keep going. So, pour yourself a cup, turn the lights low, and let's do what we do here. We're going to step inside Mike McClure's Jack of Diamonds and see where the ditch meets the high road, and maybe where the captain's voice still calls, I'll meet you halfway. I'll see you on the other side. So, let me ask you again. Have you ever had a love you couldn't deny and a life you couldn't survive at the same time? Not a postcard romance, something rougher, truer. The kind that shows up uninvited and takes your chair like it paid rent. The kind you feel in your teeth when you try to sing over it. You walk the house at midnight because the rooms can't hold it and the quiet keeps handing you questions you don't want to answer. You pour a glass to hush the noise, but the ice is louder. You step out onto the porch, the town's asleep, but your heart's up late, tapping its foot, wanting a verdict you don't have. That is the ache this song stands in. The split down the middle where longing and survival glare at each other like strangers who share a last name. Jack of Diamonds doesn't tidy the gap. It sits in it with you. And it tells you the truth out loud. Well, the Jack of Diamonds and the Queen of Hearts hit the road and hit the dark, hit the brakes and tried to park, but they slid off in a ditch. We know these two because they live in our mirrors. The Jack of Diamonds, a little shine, not much crown. A man with enough charm to get dealt into the hand, not enough wisdom to set the table. The Queen of Hearts, love with gravity. Tender and dangerous. The kind of card that makes every other card in the deck nervous. They launch fast, headlights cutting the black, gravel sprays like a choir of sparks, but speed isn't the same as direction, and hit the dark is the honest line nobody wants to say out loud. When the brakes finally matter, it's too late. The ditch takes what the road won't keep. You know what? We've all lived in that skid. We've called it adventure because we were proud, or escape because we were scared. But the truth, it was drift, dressed up. We weren't steering. Momentum was. Sometimes the ditch is mercy. Stops the car you wouldn't stop yourself. Well, they played the game while the elevator ran down the shaft to the promised land, hit the ground with a heavy hand, and the conductor flipped a switch. Cut to a box of soft light and bad music. The elevator slides like a lullaby, and we tell ourselves it's going somewhere good. We play the game to pass the time, shuffle, deal, pretend the odds are always in our favor. But listen, the cables groan. The promise is underground. That's the wrong geography for a promised land. The stop is hard enough to rename your bones. Somewhere above the ceiling, the conductor. Call him fate, temptation. The house throws a switch with a bare hand. You didn't choose the floor. You were delivered to it. And we all know that ride. We smiled on the way down because it felt easier than looking up. We've all called the descent progress because momentum is flattering until the impact. When gravity has a hold of you, bluffing will not save you. But naming the floor you hit might. So the devil, he came back on the prowl, low and steady with a heavy growl. Slowly growing darker now, there's a rapping at the door. There's a sound habits make when they remember you. It isn't loud, it isn't patient. Low and steady. Like it's done this walk with you before. The room dims by degrees. You forgot what color your walls were in real daylight. Then comes the knock, measured, like the visitor thinks he has a key and is just being polite. We know that knock. We know that posture where your hand finds the doorknob on its own because at least the old trouble is familiar. We, not just you, we both, you know it. We've gone quiet at 2 a.m. We've stalled in the hallway with our palms sweating. We've opened, we've closed. We've stood still until the wrapping faded and felt both relieved and lonely about it. The enemy rarely kicks in. He waits. And grace teaches us how to wait him out. Well, it's the 4 wands with the Ace of Cups. Somehow, that just don't add up. Sorry, fellas, lots of luck. Can't feel that anymore. And now the deck changes languages. We're not just shuffling spades and diamonds. We're handing out emblems. The 4 wands is a homecoming, a canopy strung with lights. The Ace of Cups is first pour grace, love that won't run dry. And in another room, these 2 cards start a dance and end with a toast. But here's the verdict. That just don't add up. Wrong table. Wrong room. Right symbols in a house with rigged math. Can't feel that anymore. Lands like a doctor tapping your knee and getting nothing. The reflex is gone. Some of us have learned numbness as survival. Turn the nerve off so the blade can't find it. Then one day the good comes near and the switch is still stuck. We watch our own heart like it's behind glass. When your jaw nerve is asleep, don't panic. Sometimes it's the splint that kept you from shattering worse. So the first refrain, I've called out to my captain. I said, "Sir, I've gone astray. Am I too far gone to come back now?" He said, "No, son. I'll meet you halfway." Here's the question with teeth. No, decorate the prayer pretty, just the old fear in a new accent. Am I too far gone? And that half-sentence answer, "No, son," carries a father's palm on the back of your neck. I'll meet you halfway is mercy with its boots on. Not a map, not a lecture. Movement. Start walking. I'm already walking. And we hear this, and the room changes temperature. We, plural. Because one of the holiest tricks Grace pulls is convincing a whole crowd that the answer was for them personally and being right every time. Halfway isn't a bargain. It's how love shortens a road that you can't on your own. Well, a couple of things I've come to know. The good times come and they will surely go. And liquor is like a torpedo that tangles as it tears. Tired truth. The high burns quick. The come down lasts longer. And the bottle and whatever wears the bottle's mask in your story doesn't just hit, it binds you up. It tangles as it tears. That's the perfect cruelty, the wound that won't let you swim away from it. And we've learned to sanctify our torpedoes as tools. It helps me sleep. It helps me speak. It helps me forget. Then we wake to find lines wrapped around our ankles like eels. The ocean doesn't care if your excuses are eloquent. It just continues to pull. If you're tangled, it doesn't mean you're weak. It means you found the lines that need cutting. It slammed into my sinking ship, wrapped itself in barbed wire fence, wiped down and cleaned the fingerprints by drunks that move the chairs. Now the camera backs up and shows the room at a slant. The ship wasn't steady before it was hit. Remember, it was sinking. The barbed wire is the lie that pain can protect you. Wrap it tight enough and no one will get in except you're the one bleeding. Wipe down and clean the fingerprints. We know this ritual. Clean what can be cleaned. Explain what can be explained. And draft an alibi that sounds like maturity. Then that last line, slurred and brutal. Drunks that move the chairs. The scene betrays itself. The center cannot hold if the furniture has its own agenda. We've walked into our own lives, knocked a shin on what used to be in the other corner. Faith, trust, breakfast, bedtime. We blink, squint, turn on more lights. The room keeps lying. Or maybe we do. You don't have to prove the room is straight. You could admit it's crooked and ask for help to level the house. This one's my favorite. Verse 8. Well, lazy burning, turning lanes, lower looming hurricanes, twisting up the weather veins of the path of least resistance. Road and sky both misbehaving, lazy, burning, turning, feels like driving through a fever dream. Lanes that wander, shoulders that melt off the side. The storms sit low like they pay rent. Gauges spin, north forgets itself, and the path of least resistance starts talking to us like it's our friend. Come on, this way's downhill. We know that voice because we used it to coach ourselves through bad weather and worse choices. We told our legs to rest while the current had its say. We've woke up in another county wondering who moved the state line. Ease is not the same thing as peace. If the wind is pushing, test its theology before you follow it. So I crossed the road way up on high. For love I could not deny. With a weathered brow and my crooked eyes stared off in the distance. Here is the hinge you can hear click. So I crossed, not crawled back to the ditch, not rode the elevator again. Crossed. Exposure, risk, traffic. And not for thrill this time, for a love I cannot deny. And the body keeps the score, weathered brow, crooked eye. We can't get a makeover We only get direction. The gaze settles where the road gets thin and clean. The horizon looks understated and trustworthy, and so you step. We've made that shy, stubborn turn, we, plural. Some of us limped into it. Some of us lacked from nerves and cried 3 steps later. Some of us called a friend and said nothing, letting the silence witness the crossing. Don't wait to feel holy. Just aim your feet and go. Wholeness often shows up in motion. And now the second refrain. I called out to my captain. I said, "Sir, I have gone astray. Am I too far gone to come back now?" He said, "No, son. I will meet you halfway." Say the question the same way. Let the words wear a groove. The second time tastes different because your mouth remembers the first answer. Still you ask. And still the answer comes like rain. Unsurprised, unfancy, but enough. We're all standing in that mid-road motel lobby somewhere, hands in pockets, dust on our cuffs, waiting to hear if we get to check back into a life that won't kill us. Clerk looks up with a face we can't read and smiles like he knows our dad. Repetition isn't faithlessness. It's how hope practices breathing. One more time for the scar tissue. Am I too far gone to come back now? No, son. I'll meet you halfway. Same syllables, same cadence, same answer. Louder somehow because your ribcage finally made room for it. The line lands like an arm across your shoulders. Simple, warm, weight that blesses. Some truths don't get truer. They just get closer. So I'll ask you how we started, and I'll mean it the same. You ever had a love you couldn't deny and a life you couldn't survive at the same time? If you're standing in that split, hear this as clean as a train whistle on a cold night. Halfway is already happening. Put your foot on the high road. He's already running towards you. When you feel the ground turn from gravel to pavement under your heel, don't look back to see how far you come. Just look up and see who's coming. So, here we are on the other side of Jack of Diamonds. We've been down in the ditch, dropped down the elevator shaft, felt the hurricane twist the weather vanes, and crossed the high road with a crooked eye toward the horizon. And if you're anything like me, you're hearing that first question perhaps a little differently now. You ever had a love you couldn't deny and a life you couldn't survive at the same time? At the start, maybe you were picturing a woman, a man, a face you could still see in the corner of your memory, but now maybe that love's not just romance. It's the kind of love that feels like it's holding you together even when your life's being pulled apart. Maybe that's God's love. Maybe it's the stubborn ember of your own soul. Maybe it's both. Here's the thing. I'm not here to solve it for you. Some songs, some questions aren't meant to be tidied up. This one ends just like the road does, still stretching out, still waiting for you to take a step. And the captain's voice, it's still the same answer, halfway. It's what I love about this kind of storytelling. It's not here to preach you into a corner. It's here to walk with you down the middle, even if your shoes are muddy and your map's upside down. And if this conversation meant something at all to you, if it stirred something in your chest or gave you a little company on your high road, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Share this with somebody you know is fighting to keep a love alive while holding the rest of their life together. Subscribe so you don't miss the next time we find gospel in the gravel. Leave a comment. Tell me where this song met you, because I read every single one of them. Because here's the truth. This podcast isn't just me talking into a microphone. It's us. Building a long table out here where the weary can sit. You bring your story. I'll bring mine. And we'll see if between the two of us we can hear the Spirit humming along under the static. Until next time, I want to leave you with this. Whether you're stuck in the ditch or halfway across the high road, whether your love is tearing you up or holding you together, grace is already walking toward you. You might not see her yet. You might not believe me yet, but she's coming. And when you call out, because you will, the answer will be the same. No, son. I'll meet you halfway. See you next time.
Chapter 6. Therefore, leaving the principles of the doctrine of Christ, let us go on